Hello, welcome. Lucky for you, there are two of me in your life today, and you get to write an essay. What is better than that? So this will be our last essay for social studies this year. I just want to run you through a couple things, things I would typically say at the beginning of class, and to try and deal with some questions you're going to have. So I have jumped into my Google Classroom. I am an SS1. We'll use that for all the classes for this video. So let's check it out. If you come in, you should see right at the top. All right, this will be due April 11th. That's Monday. So we've got 3 days in here. We want to get started as quick as we can. So 5 materials I've given for you. First of all, the Scramble for Africa in the Berlin Conference. It's a video that a couple high school students put together. It's really good. It's some information if you're looking for some more, or you just want to try and tie some things together. Check it out. 3 minutes of your life well spent. The second one up, we've seen a couple times now. This is the Atlantic slave trade that we watched on Wednesday. We watched it on the whatever that is, the board from the weird projector that's connected to it. All right, we discussed it a bit. We talked about the arms race and all that stuff. Watch it if you need to. If you're stuck for ideas, absolutely check it out. The third thing up, I'm going to click and open this. All right, just some transition words for you. We want to make sure that we have some flow to our writing. So you can check this out on your own. You can pause this if you want to check it out. But we want to just have that to benefit you. If you don't love this list, you can Google one yourself. The world is at your fingertips. All right, coming up is the essay rubric. It's a little bit different than the last one. I've opened this. We would prefer to be in the green. The blue does the job too, but we want to be in the 4 to 3 range. Right? Take the time to look through this. I know that a lot of you don't like to, but it does tell you what you're going to be scored on. It's similar to the one that we had on the Columbus essay. Evidence and analysis, I don't believe were separated, or now they are. But give this a look. Again, this is your guideline. Right, so please take the time on that. And then to the top, right? Africa essay form, boxes and bullets. This is where your boxes and bullets is. This is where you are. This is what you are going to turn in when you are finished. So give that a click. All right, right at the top, papers that you should use. So literally the papers that should be right next to you. 90, 92, 93, and 94. They all have stars on them. You should have those 4. 77 you do not have. I do. Looks like this. All right. Columbus essay feedback analysis. These we did, if you remember, we went to the computer lab after we finished up with Columbus, just to kind of look at some of the mistakes, some of the comments that we had. Right, for example, Joey was on top, but let me just check it out. Somebody else said, I could have done better on the intro, right? So that's a reminder that when that student gets going, they want to make sure they focus on that introduction because it wasn't the strongest piece, right? So we want to use that reminder. There's paper 77. In addition, you'll have the materials that we just looked at, a couple videos. But here is the main piece. So in red in a box, it says read me. This must be important. All right, definitely read this all the way through, but I'm going to get to the big piece. All that you need to write, all you have to do in writing for this essay is your introduction and 1 body paragraph. Right. You've already come up with 3 main points that you want to talk about. You need to just make sure you give me your strongest body paragraph. You still have to plan the whole thing out. You still have to do the box and bullets. But as far as the writing goes, right, it's just the intro and 1 strong body paragraph. That's real good news, not the sarcastic good news I usually give you. Really what we're trying to say here is if you can plan it, right, plan it out, get your thing organized, and just give us a taste of the writing because we've seen what you can do before. I think it's a pretty good deal. So let's jump into it. Your prompt, how did European imperialism affect the lives of Africans? The way that we've said this in conversation, how did Europe mess up Africa? Right, looking for 3 main points. Again, check out paper 94. You probably already thought about this. Before beginning your box and bullets, what is your response? So let's start with that. Right? We're going to create your claim. Your claim should have 3 main ideas. Now, anytime there's red and lines under it, I expect you to write something in there. Easy way to do this. Right? let's highlight those lines, and we can just start typing right over them. European imperialism affected blah 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 blah. All right, I think that looks pretty good. There's my claim. You can come up with your own, and it again should have 3 main ideas in it. All right, that's something you should be able to come up with. We take part of the prompt. Right, and then we get to our 3 things. So if I want to be more specific and be more helpful, I'll put a comma there. I'll blah, 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 blah. There's my second point, and blah, 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 blah. Very nice. All right, much better claim. I've got my 3 pieces. I'm ready to keep going. So let's get to the introduction. I do want you to read this. Check it out. This is from the rubric. All right, it's telling you what you need to have in your intro. Looking at the quick piece here, right, we want to have something that grabs the reader's attention. Right, there's your hook. You want to set the scene by discussing the topic, and you need to introduce your claim. What you want to do right, with this box is do it right now. Right? So this will be your planning. Right? This will be graded. Create your hook. Right. For your hook, my thought is think of the most disturbing or most messed up thing that you've learned about slavery or Africa in the last week or two. Right, and I think that's a good hook because the goal is to get your reader's attention. Right, so you can start with that right off the bat. Imagine that you gross, disgusting, blah, 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 blah. Right, there's my hook. Good for me. Put a period, it's over. Setting the scene, creating context for the topic. Right, if you want to use bullets at this point, you can. I'm into writing things out myself. Whoa, where did that come from? Whatever. So here's where you're coming up with that setting the scene. For Columbus, this is where we had to say it's 1492. This guy is from Spain. He was born in Italy. Now he's coming to the New World, and he found these people. You need to tell the reader what the topic is. For us, it's European imperialism in Africa. If you go back to paper 94, you may have already figured this out, but you need to tell the reader what European imperialism is. Right, there's your setting the scene. Then you get to your claim. Right, I am going to be smart and computer literate. I am going to go up to the claim that I already made. I am going to highlight it. I am going to copy. And I will paste her right in. Right, there's my claim. So I've got my plan. Right, there's my box and bullets. The catch now is that I have to write it. So let's do the same thing. Let's highlight all these unattractive lines. Right, and I'm going to type right over it. Imagine that you gross, disgusting, blah, 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 blah. And I'll keep going with my setting the scene and finally ending with my claim. So I'll have written my strong introduction. Done with that. All right, I'm half done with my writing. Pretty good deal. So after the intro, we get to our body paragraphs. For this, again, you do have to plan the entire thing out. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to do one plan and then write that. Nope, not working that way. You need to plan this entire thing out so you have a topic sentence. The topic sentence should come from your main claim. Right, part of it here. Right, so there's your first, your second, your third piece. And then you have some context. So this is where you're setting up the background for what your quote, your evidence is going to be. You need to cite this. So let's hop on over. Pause. All right. So I had to pull this up. This is information that you will also, well, actually I'm not going to put it up there. Right now is your way to see this. So it won't be a material for you. You can pause it and this will stay up for a long time. Citing information. So anytime that you're using somebody else's information, you need to cite it. For 2 reasons. First of all, legally and ethically, it's the right thing to do. You can't just take someone else's ideas. It's a weird thought, but here's an apple. It's mine. If you took it, you stole it from me. You're in trouble. The same idea, if you take someone's idea and you do not give them credit for it, right, technically it's stealing. So we want to make sure we get into that practice. The other piece is that it adds legitimacy. Right? So if I'm talking about science and I end up quoting Albert Einstein, I sound a bit better, right? When we reference an expert or something else, it does make our paper more legitimate, more powerful, more impressive. Right? So you can check this out. There are examples down here for you to look at. Make sure we're citing our evidence. Right? It is appropriate. Let's hop back. So here are your body paragraphs. We've done this before. If you want to look back at Columbus, you have done this before. For that, it's probably still in your drive if you want to look at that example. So paragraph 1, paragraph 2, come up with your plan, your outline, right? And then, right, your touch here, you're going to pick which one of these you think you have the most evidence for, which do you think is the strongest, right? And now you can write it right here. Oops. Right. So you can begin here, blah, 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 blah. Right. And your strongest body paragraph will go right there. You don't need to tell me which one it is. I can figure it out. Right. But when it comes to your writing in that rubric, I'm looking at this, right, your strongest body paragraph, and I'm looking at that intro you came up to. That's all you need to do for your essay. It's a pretty good deal, right? Because again, you've got a good idea of how your writing is. Just want to see that you can plan it out. The last piece before we finish up is your conclusion. Fill in the box below to show that you know how to write a conclusion. And then again, you don't need to actually write it out. The 3 parts are here. So restating your claim, right? It should be in different words. Right? You want some variety. Important ideas discussed. So kind of look at your main ideas, the things you think are most important. Kind of that last thought you want the reader to walk away with. And then finally, that future thought. Leave your reader with something to think about. I think a lot of you are going to talk about topics that were back in the 1800s, the 1900s. So maybe your future thought has to do with what life is like in Africa today, or what life is like for Africans in other parts of the world. Right? Something that expands and says, "Whoo, this is a big, big deal." Right? So once you're done with that, you get to your congratulations. All right, everything is good. Some ideas for what you should do afterwards. That is all. All right, I'm done. Once you're finished with this and you are done, up here on yours it should say turn in instead of share. And then you are finished with your final essay of social studies for 6th grade. If you have questions, feel free to flag me down. If you want to shoot an email, I can get to those as well. Other than that, good luck.